The face revered for centuries may never have belonged to a corpse at all. It was probably stamped onto linen like ink on parchment. Days after headlines crowed that the Turin Shroud had been vindicated as Christ's burial cloth, forensic modeler Cicero Moraes fired a digital broadside that threatens to sink the miracle. Working with high-resolution scans and crime scene software, he shows that if fabric truly hugged a human form, its image would flatten into a grotesque smear. The shroud's orderly silhouette, he argues, could arise only from pressing cloth against a shallow carving and peeling it away like a primitive printing plate. Picture wrapping a soaked sheet around your own face. Once laid flat, the nose widens, cheeks drift, eyes separate. Moraes calls this the Agamemnon mask effect. The Turin image is far too clean for that. To prove it, he ran 2 simulations. First, he draped a virtual skull with a mesh of 30,000 digital threads soaked in hemoglobin-rich serum. When the model cloth was unfolded, the imprint bulged and stretched into an unknowable caricature. Then he repeated the experiment with a bas-relief only 6 millimeters deep. This time, the contours stayed crisp. Blood streaks halted exactly where carved ridges ended, and the resulting pattern looked uncannily like the relic's sepia negative. His study, published in an Elsevier forensic journal, dropped into a perfect storm. Just weeks earlier, an Italian textiles lab had reported chemical fingerprints linking the linen fibers to fragments excavated at Masada, hinting at a 1st century origin. Pilgrims rejoiced, documentary crews scrambled, souvenir presses whirred, until Moraes' models crashed the party and reignited a feud that began in 1354, the year the cloth first appeared in France and was denounced as a fake by the Bishop of Troyes. Radiocarbon tests in 1988 seemed to seal the verdict, dating the sample threads to between 1260 and 1390. Believers counterpunched, claiming the test area had been contaminated by candle soot, patch repairs, and even a 14th century fire that scorched one corner. Every decade since has produced dueling papers, each announcing the end of the controversy. Chemistry could not break the deadlock. Geometry just might. Moraes treats distortion the way ballistics experts chart a bullet's flight. He measures angular deviation of facial landmarks, computes percentage elongation along warp and weft, and plots those numbers against ratios extracted from ultra-high-resolution shroud photographs. The result is immense. A genuine burial wrap simply cannot yield such tidy proportions. Skeptics remain wary. They point to pollen grains that supposedly trace a road from Jerusalem to Edessa to France, or to faint anatomical nuances they insist no medieval sculptor could predict. Yet, history offers a credible toolkit. 14th century iconographers already traded in contact images, the Veronica veil, the Oviedo sudarium, tinfoil crèche figures dusted with pigment and impressed onto cloth. Whether their aim was devotion or profit, the technology lay ready. And the profit was colossal. Europe in the 1300s reeled from plague and war. A relic displaying Christ's face promised solace, and just as crucially, cash. Innkeepers brimmed, craftsmen flourished, city councils basked in prestige. Chroniclers described bidding wars for miracle working bones, nails, and phials of Mary's milk. In that fevered bazaar, a shroud capable of turning skeptics into believers overnight was as valuable as any fortress. The 21st century has merely updated the business model. Pilgrim caravans are replaced by live-streamed masses, incense-scented chapels by 4K virtual reality tours, souvenir stalls by e-commerce catalogs. Each new research paper swings millions of euros towards or away from Turin. Moraes' inbox overflowed with both threats and funding offers within hours of publication. Officially, the Vatican takes no side. The Church allows veneration but stops short of dogmatic authentication. Privately, many prelates prefer ambiguity. Debunking could shatter faith. Yet, a declared miracle might become theological quicksand if future data contradicts it. For now, stalemate remains the safest option. Technology, though, refuses to sit still. quantum cascade terahertz imagers, due to enter the conservation arsenal within a decade, promise to map pigment molecules without lifting a thread. They could expose synthetic dyes invisible to older spectrometers or pinpoint microfold fractures that reveal when the cloth was repeatedly folded. A positive scan might rewrite the relic's biography overnight. A refusal to allow testing would freeze the legend in amber, preserving both devotion and doubt. Back in his Brazilian studio, Marias keeps refining code. He's training a neural network to invert the imprint and recover the original source face. One version resembles a Byzantine icon, another a weather-beaten oak effigy, a third a hypothetical 1st century Judean. Each reconstruction peels another layer from the onion, and yet the core refuses to appear. The shroud uncannily absorbs scrutiny and grows only more enigmatic. Perhaps that's its greatest trick. The Turin shroud's power has never rested on proving itself genuine. Its genius lies in forcing each generation to ask the question anew. By existing exactly at the threshold where certainty falters, it compels science and faith to collide and then slips back into the mist, untouched. Tonight, the linen lies in its climate-controlled vault, glowing beneath tungsten spotlights. Pilgrims will weep. Tourists will still risk forbidden photos. Scholars will still petition for new fibers. And somewhere, a server farm will crunch terabytes of data searching for the day the cloth finally names its maker. Until that dawn arrives, the shroud remains what it has always been, a mirror. Stare long enough, and it reflects not its own origin, but the viewer's hunger for certainty, the eternal human desire to touch the unreachable.